How's it going, class? I'm going to look at topic 6, lesson 4 today. So we're going to look at the how to estimate percentage of a number using something called benchmark fractions. Benchmark fractions are just fractions that are commonly used. So if you can kind of memorize these values, then it makes your life a lot easier going forward because you don't have to always solve these. So these are what we look at as benchmark fractions. So again, these fractions should be ones that are common. So not like 2/17 or something like that. But for example, 1/4. So if we want to look at what 1/4 is as a percentage, you can maybe try to think of it right now, but 1/4 as a percentage would be 25%. All right. So then if you want to know what 3/4 is, then you just have to multiply this number by 3 because 1/4 is 25%. So 2/4 would be 50, 3/4, 75, 4/4, 100, etc. The same thing with 1/2. So 1/2, probably all know, is 50%. Right. So again, these numbers are nice and easy to use. They'll come up a lot. So these are all good to know. 1/5 would be 20%. All right, because 20 is 1/5 of 100. So again, if you wanted to know what 3/5 was, you would do 20 times 3 and you'd get 60% because it's 3 of these. So just adding them 3 times. 1/3 is going to be 33%. All right, and it's actually going to go on forever. It's 33.333333, going on forever. But same thing, if you wanted to multiply or find 2/3, then you would just multiply this by 2. 1/8 is not a super easy one. It's not like perfectly clean without a decimal, but it is a number. Eighths are used a lot. So this is actually 12.5%. All right, so eighths come up a lot. So then if you want to know what 5/8 are, you would multiply 12.5 times 5. If you want to know 2/8, you'd multiply it by 2. All right, so that is the first part, and you'll see why these are important in a second. All right, so now we're going to do some estimation to solve some of these small little problems here. So 24% of 83 is what? So we don't know what that equals, so we're trying to find what is 24% of 83. So a way you can look at it, just thinking of school and taking tests, if you had 83 problems on a test, so big long test, and your grade was a 24%, and you want to know how many problems you got correct, that's what we're finding here. So what is 24% of 83? So this is where the benchmark fractions come in handy. So you want to make 24% a nice, even compatible number with 83 or a number close to 83. So 24% is nice and close to 25%. And I'm not just picking that number at random because 25% we saw as a benchmark fraction is 1/4. Right? 25% is 1/4. You'll see why that's going to work well in a second. So 83, is there a number that's close to 83 that we're not changing it too much that works well with 1/4? So that number would be 80. All right, so I'm not changing the number that much, just off by 3. So now I'm finding 1/4 of 80. That seems more doable than 24% of 83. And so now I just think, okay, I have 80. I need to find 1/4 of that. So I'm just dividing 80 by 4, and I'm going to get 20. So because we're estimating, we don't have to be absolutely exact. So we can say that 24% of 83 is about 20. All right, so let's do another one. All right, so we have another example here. 9% of 89 is what? So again, we have the 9%. We want to change it to a number that works a little easier for us. So let's change that to 10%, which is, as a fraction, is 1/10. All right, so another fraction that's easier to work with. And 89, so we want to think, is there a number we can change 89 to that works with 1/10? So I could change it to 100, but that's going to be moving it a decent amount. That's moving it 11. I could move it down to 80, but again, that's moving it a decent amount when I could just move it to 90. So moving it to 90 is not that big of a change. So now I'm finding 1/10 of 90. All right, so now that's the math I'm doing. So now 1/10 of 90, I take this number, I divide it by the number in the denominator. So 90 divided by 10 is 9. and there's just one of those. So my answer is going to stay at 9. All right, so 9% of 89 is about 9. All right, now we're going to take a look at one that's a little trickier. So we're using very similar numbers here. So 29%, you could say it's close to 25%, and that might not be the worst thing to do. But let's say you wanted to say it's close to 30%, because it really is. It's one away. All right, and so you thought, okay, what's 30% as a fraction? Well, that's going to be 3/10. All right, you could say it's 30 over 100, then simplify down to 3/10 as well if you weren't sure on this one. So 3/10, and let's keep this, let's change this to 90 again. So we'll keep it same thing we did last time. So now you have 3/10 of 90, and you might think, well, that's pretty tough to do because I have 3/10 over here. Remember, you're just dividing this number by the denominator over here. So when it was 1/10, we just did 90 divided by 10 and got 9. So let's do the same thing. 90 divided by 10 is 9. But that's what 1/10 was. So this is 3/10. So we need 2 more of these. So 90 divided by 10 is 9. And then 9 times 3, because there's 3 of them, would be 27. All right, so that's how we would get that one. So 29% of 89 is about 27. All right, so last one we're going to take a look at here. Maybe a little more real-life example. And again, if you want to pause this, rewind, fast forward, all that stuff, you can do that pretty easily on here. Come up with your own numbers that are similar to try different ones. Have this video up when you're going through your worksheets, anything you'd like that works for you. So if this one, so say you're shopping and something is 18% off. So there's a sale of some sort, you get 18% off the full price. And whatever that thing is you buy is $38. Maybe it's a pair of shoes, baseball glove, something like that, right? So 18% off the purchase of $38. So right now, just understanding the word problem, off, so that we're going to be taking money away from this. So full price is $38, but we get a little discount here, so our answer should be less than 38 right off the bat. So if we get a number that's higher than 38, we know we did something wrong. So same process we're going to do before. So 18%, let's change that to 20%. Because we know 20% as a benchmark fraction is going to be 1/5. You could think of it as 2/10 as well, and you'd still be able to solve. Maybe we'll look at that right after, but 20% we should know is 1/5. So now we take the 38, all right, and let's change that, something that works well with 5. So I'm trying to find a number that I can divide by 5 pretty easily. So I could change it to 35. That'd be moving it 3, but I could also change it to 40, and I'm changing it by 2. So now I have $40. I divide by 5, which is 8. And since it's 1/5, I don't have to do anything more. So if I was in the store and I didn't have a calculator or something like that, and I wanted to know about how much money I'm going to get off, it would be 18% off a purchase of 38 would be about $8. So if I wanted to find out how much I'm going to actually be paying, subtract 8. So I should be paying about $30 if I have this coupon or the sale is being applied. Now, and that's all you have to do for that one, so you don't need to, that's perfectly fine getting your answer that way. So if you looked at 20% and didn't realize you could do 1/5 and you just instantly thought of it as 2/10, you might be able to just simplify right away because you realize you could. But if you kept it that way and you still wanted to go with $38, changing to 40, the same process would happen. So 40 divided by 10 is 4. But again, that's not 1/10, it's 2/10. So 4 times 2 would get you to 8, and we're at the same place we were before. So then you subtract 8, and you get $30. All right, so I hope that helps with your estimation lesson on 6-4. So just ask questions in your Google Classroom, email myself, your teacher, if you need any extra help. All right, so thanks, and be on the lookout for other lesson videos. Bye.